So basically, the G8 is meeting right now in London. The Obama administration has recently said that they're going to start sending more arms to the Syrian rebels. And that's in response to a couple of different things. One is more confirmation that the Assad regime has used chemical weapons. Number two, broader political pressure. President Clinton said last week that President Obama is looking weak and indecisive. I don't know what President Clinton's motivation for that intervention is, and I don't really get the political or strategic or policy purpose of that, but that's what he did. And then three, and more maybe substantively, the there's a peace process. There's a peace summit coming up with various factions fighting in Syria. And what has happened recently is that the Assad regime is doing very well. They've gotten new, very advanced weaponry from Russia. Hezbollah is on the ground fighting with the Assad forces, and it's going their way. So the fear is that the opposition might seriously be decimated in anticipation of this peace summit, and in which case there's much less of a chance of striking a deal. That is probably the thinking behind sending these weapons in. As you can imagine, there's a lot of resistance to doing this. We've discussed on the show before, there's many different factions fighting in Syria, including groups like Al-Qaeda groups. There's brutal human rights violations, which started in the beginning when it was a democratic uprising against this really horrific Assad government. But at this point, certainly rebel forces are engaging in serious human rights violations themselves. And there's division within the G8 about sending more weapons to Syria. In the Middle East, Egypt, under President Morsi's, just cut off relations with the Assad government. And then if you kind of combine that with Iran's strong support for Assad, and how this conflict is getting more and more sectarian, essentially, with Hezbollah, Iran supporting the Alawite regime of Assad, they're Shiites, and then the kind of more Sunni fundamentalist forces of Morsi in Egypt, and governments like Qatar and Saudi Arabia backing the rebels. The real danger is that this just turns into more and more of what it really is at this point, which is a sectarian civil war with lots of horrific human rights consequences all around. And I don't really see the strategy for sending more weapons in. And I think that we've learned in so many cases. I mean, we flooded weapons into, Pakistan, Afghanistan in the 80s. Look at what that spread to. And the administration seems disengaged. Obama didn't even personally announce this policy shift himself. He left that, I think, to I believe his chief of staff. So, there can be some case made for it, but this seems really problematic to me. And the situation's really spiraling, and it could get much, much worse and include many more actors in the region. So it's kind of basically what's going on there.